What's up guys, FlamingVictini here, and I am back for my week 6 game of SPL. I'm going to be playing against Eternal Spirit, who is on the far side. I am Tama Homework. That was just like kind of mean thing our team was doing, but I'm going to be referring to Eternal Spirit as Gamma from now on just because it's easier for me to say. Anyway, he's got a Volcarona Dugtrio team, which is pretty scary to me. I do have Stone Edge on my Keldeo, which is Choice Scarf, but that is pretty much my sole Volcarona answer. I am not running, my Keldeo is minus attack, because I didn't want to really compromise my Keldeo a ton just to be able to one-shot Volcarona. And so it is a roll to KO Volcarona if it's at full health in his favor, but I do also have priority on my team, and it's hard for Volcarona to get completely free setup without taking any prior damage. So I'm not super duper worried, but he also has a Dugtrio, and if he like predicts Stone Edge and goes to Dugtrio on that, I'm kind of effed. So that's something to really keep in mind. He's also got a Scizor, which is kind of annoying because I have a Mega Metagross and I have a Weavile, and so I can't really break that Scizor with those two. My Amoonguss has HP Fire, my Rotom can beat a 1v1, my Lando can't beat an SD set 1v1, but it should be able to annoy it, and looking at his team, it is definitely a Defog Scizor because he has no other hazard control, so it's most likely not Swords Dance Scizor. So I might be able to, I definitely can stall it out of Defog PP because Stealth Rock has more PP, but I don't know if I'll be able to outlast Scizor with regards to damage, because I don't have any passive recovery, but I do have Helmet and I have EQ, and he only has a limited roost, so it's kind of a toss-up between that. I am also using a really bad Keldeo set. I was actually had some other variants of this team before this final product, and these teams were kind of weak to stuff like not Mega Salamence, but just DD Flynium Salamence. So because of that, I was like the Keldeo was forced on the team to run Surf, Secret Sword, Icy Wind, and Stone Edge, which is a horrible set. So I said, like when I was talking with my team, that I really don't want to use something like this because it forces a really bad Keldeo set. Lo and behold, I have a team with a Landorus T, a Rotom Wash, an Ice Shard Weavile, and I'm still using Icy Wind Keldeo. So for whatever reason, I hadn't changed my Keldeo to Hydro Pump and Scald, and that's really going to bite me in this game, especially since he has that Scizor, as you'll see, and not having Hydro Pump to do a clean sweep. Since Keldeo is my win con this game, the only thing that really beats Keldeo is Serperior and Rotom, which are not too difficult to wear down over the course of the game. Possibly even just remove Serperior with Weavile after dealing some prior damage with Pursuit, and Rotom is just prone to getting worn down. I do need to be careful not to take too much damage because his Dugtrio looks like it could very well be Choice Scarf, so I need to make sure I'm not in range of being revenged by it. But yeah, my game plan for this game is to go in with Keldeo. My Amoonguss is pretty good against him. It's only really weak to that Volcarona, so I want to set up rocks ASAP, and that way I can really start to pressure him with Amoonguss. That being said, I also really want to avoid giving that Volcarona any chance of getting some free setup really early in the game, because it's going to do a ton of devastating damage. It's going to put me on the back foot right from the beginning, and it's going to be tough to come back. So I'm actually going to lead with the one Mon that lets Volcarona set up, which is Amoonguss. The reason I do this lead is because I expected him. I thought he would maybe lead with Rotom, because Rotom, if I lead with almost anything, Rotom can Volt Switch out and try to draw in Amoonguss, which can let him go to his Volcarona. Now, I think my Amoonguss has a lot of Spadef, so actually, you know what, we're just going to look at this calc right now. Amoonguss versus Volcarona, and rain is up, and I am calm, so as you can see, like, he needs to do that. Yeah, so he can't OHKO my full health Amoonguss either way, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. He'd have to use a Z move in order to OHKO my Amoonguss, which is something to keep in mind. Now, he leads off with the Serperior, not his Rotom, and looking at this nickname, I actually instantly know what this Serperior set is, because I played Mazar for a tour earlier, and he used this set against me. It's Leaf Storm, HP Fire, Z Mirror Code, which is a 100 BP Psychic move, and I don't know what his last is, but this is, even though I instantly know that, like, this thing is one thing I know is this is definitely Z move Superior, so I know it's not Z move Volk, or Z move Lando, and the thing is, even though it's Z Mirror Code, I'm pretty sure it's Z Mirror Code, He can also, if Mazar has been smart enough to realize that Z Hyper Beam is just as strong versus the targets of Z Mirror Coat, Z Mirror Coat would never. I mean, I guess if something resists normal but not psychic, I guess that's false. But the Z Hyper Beam outclasses Z Mirror Coat in all situations, but almost all situations, I guess, maybe all. But and it's just as strong. It's just as strong versus Amoonguss as Z Mirror Coat. That being said, I can't really afford to make some crazy play like switching Weavile in on a Z Mirror Coat, because if you click Z Hyper Beam instead, I'm just gonna get completely steamrolled. So I don't really have the freedom to do that. So, but this Superior, because I am Calm Amoonguss, I know I can definitely take on the Superior in the 1v1 situation, even when it gets a free Leaf Storm on the switch. So I'm not too worried about it. That being said, I make a really poor and defensive play here. Like, the play's not bad, but it definitely could have just been way better if I just clicked Spore. I think the reason why I made so many, like, straightforward, safe, direct plays where I just literally attacked what was in front of me this game is I have known Gamma to be a highly aggressive player. And we'll see this game that he's actually plays pretty tamely. He makes a lot of moves that just progress his own game plan rather than trying to take some incredible risks to get way ahead. But that was something I was wary of, and I think I ended up playing this game too safely in consequence, and that's one of the major reasons why I think, the result of this game happened. You guys probably know by now, but I do go for the clear Smogon on that Lando, and the reason I don't Spore, I go straight into my Lando, is because this is my opportunity to get up rocks. I really need to keep rocks up. If I Spore, he basically gets a free switch into Volcarona, and now I'm like starting to become highly pressured into actually like forcing this thing out. I only have basically only my Keldeo immediately forces it out, and the thing that forces it out into Rotom or possibly Serp, Lando doesn't really want to set rocks on that, so I take this as my opportunity to set up rocks, as we see here that I am most likely faster, possibly a speed tie. He goes for the HP Ice and that's a 2 KO, but he's definitely running like a minus special attack Lando. Here I just make a safe play, go to my Rotom, because I can't afford to lose my Lando T if for that Scizor. I just need to keep, I just can't give him a defog that lets him know that rocks are never going to go back up again. So he does U-turn into his Superior. I'm going to go straight to my Amoonguss on the Leaf Storm, and here we see it is indeed Z Mirror Coat, the Shattered Psyche. That's the only like Z move with Psychic you can get. Like I said earlier, Z Hyper Beam would have done just as much damage, and it would have hit more, so that would have worked better for him. But here I go to Metagross. I think this play was okay, but I probably still could have gone hard into Weavile. Weavile will live any hit from the Superior. I think it takes actually a little bit less from HP Fire than Leaf Storm, and I can Pursuit this thing on the switch because he has a Mega Scissor. Like, I mean, it's a little bit aggressive play, but I also need to make a little bit of aggressive plays in this game to get ahead. And so, like, I probably could have just gone Weavile right here, save the damage on Metagross, and just Pursuit that Superior. But I do go to my Metagross because I know I can take anything on this thing wants to do. I'm just going to go straight for a Hammer Arm on the Scizor. In retrospect, I probably could have just pulled a double switch because that forces the Scizor to not Mega and switch out and take more Hazards damage. Or, I definitely should have just doubled to Rotom if I predicted Scizor. Obviously, Hammer Arming was a little safer, but he's going Scizor on the Metagross. So, if I just double to Rotom, then I immediately threaten the Wisp. And if he wants to Mega and take the Wisp, I'm perfectly fine with that, but more than likely, and I'll get a Wisp off on anything else, which is going to help me. I especially do want the Wisp on his Rotom, so that's something to keep in mind. But, because that helps me wear it down over the game for Keldeo. But, if he switches out, which is the more likely outcome, then, I'm just going to click Wisp anyway in this first situation, like I do here. He roosts and I click Wisp, but the difference here is that he would take 6% more chip, and on the switch-in he would not be Mega'd, so he would take significantly more from Hammer Arms. So that was potentially a play that could have prevented me from breaking Scizor more strongly. So I think definitely doubling to Rotom there would have been better than Hammer Arm. It just accomplished more. Here I miss a Wisp. May seem insignificant, but it's really going to matter over the course of the game. I think, like, there's at least 4 turns or 5 turns maybe that he would take that wisp damage, neutering that leftovers damage, and he'd be so significantly lower that it really would make a difference in the end game. So these wisp misses were a bit annoying, but that's how I have to play with it. I did get my leftovers before his leftovers, and I also outran him with Volt Switch. So I was thinking that maybe his Rotom is designed to underspeed and mine is faster, but that'll come into play later. Here is probably the biggest misplay of this entire game. I went to my Amoonguss, I just wasn't, oh my god, I hate myself. I probably should have just Wisped again, gotten that Wisp off on this Rotom, and let him get off the slower Volt Switch into whatever he wants, but letting this Amoonguss get into range of Dugtrio as he goes to right here and take me out with the EQ is absolutely horrible, because this Amoonguss basically could get essentially a free kill with Spore, or just like give me lots of room to make a lot of plays, grab a lot of momentum, and also is a pretty decent, like, it can check Scizor by wasting its roosts, and Scizor can't really do much to it. Best it can do is maybe BP a few times as I keep gaining recovery and wasting its roosts, and maybe U-turn out as I like hit something else. So like, Amoonguss was really good this game, and letting it go like that was a big mistake, I think. So I think I should have just Wisped with my Rotom right there. That was definitely a huge oversight on my part. Like, the moment I clicked Amoonguss and it hit me that Dugtrio was gonna come in and kill me, and I was just like, oh my god, I misplayed. But yeah, that's how it goes. Now, that Volt Switch damage did 18 to that Rotom, so that shows me that it is Spit F Rotom. I think I had another Volt Switch that also did similar damage. Where is it? Yeah, this Volt Switch did 18, and this Volt Switch also did 18. So like, this shows me that the Rotom is definitely like full specially defensive Rotom. So that's helping me keep in mind how much damage I need to get on this for Keldeo to sweep. And it's in range of Metagross. I do actually have Zen Headbutt, but I just go for the Hammer Arm here so I can keep pressuring that Scizor if he wants to come in. That way, if Scizor wants to come in, then he is kind of pressured to roost again, so I can try to prevent the defog continuously. That's the idea. Or if he wants to defog, then he has to leave his Scizor low. I am still faster than his Lando here. I know that for sure because my Lando is faster than his, and or at worst a speed tied with his, and I know my Metagross at -1 is faster than my own Landorus. But I still pull a switch to Rotom. I think there I could have been also a little bit more aggressive. It definitely would have given Scizor a free switch. Honestly, maybe not the best. Actually, maybe this was fine, because I'd rather go to Weavile and take out the Serperior. Granted, I will lose my Weavile to the Serperior, especially because I lost my Amoonguss. I don't really have much counterplay other than doing this, but I didn't need to, like, the chances of him U-turning on my Metagross were extremely high, so especially since I was -1, but he still might not realize that he's faster, and I just have Rotom to switch in, so he doesn't want to give me my Rotom a free switch in to just keep whittling down his team while rocks are up. So I think also here I probably could have saved my Weavile. I was thinking that he might not realize that he can't defog in this situation because I'll die to Life Orb, or that I can flinch his Scizor and prevent the roost. But it's Icicle Crash as he does get off the roost right here, so I lose another sack, and that might actually matter. It actually does matter. Yeah, it does matter. But I do go to my Rotom right here, click Wisp, miss again. My lefties goes first yet again, and here we see it's actually a speed tie. I try to go for Wisp again because I can't afford to Volt out into anything at this point, and I really need to start getting some more damage on this thing. He needs a high roll Volt Switch to take out my Rotom here after winning the speed tie. If I can just win the speed tie and like go to my Lando or something like that, it'll be perfectly fine for me. But he wins the speed tie, gets the roll, and takes out my Rotom, so that kind of sucks. I don't think, like, this tiny bit of hacks, like, it's not really hacks, it's just, like, it's just probability. Like, the probability didn't roll in my favor, and it was annoying enough that it removed potential win chances in the endgame. That being said, definitely I think the mistake with the Amoonguss, some of the other mistakes I was talking about in the early game, and this horrible mistake of having a completely trash Keldeo set is really the reason why I didn't win this game. I'll just say it right there. I don't win, but I go to my Keldeo hoping maybe I can scare out the Scizor as I go for the Surf, and it does 36. That's like, I think, a min roll. It's like, maybe it's 34 to 40, but like something to 40. Like a little bit more than 40 is like the max roll I can get on the Scizor. Based on what I've calced some damage on the Scizor, so I have a general idea of what its spread is. But he actually switches out to Volcarona right here. Now, I think this was to... Maybe it was predicting like a switch to my land or something like that. Honestly, if I were Eternal Spirit, I'd rather just Roost, and then I'd rather Roost with Scizor, and if I switch to Lando, I would go hard into my Volcarona and just grab the kill right there, because yeah, like that would be better. So I think the reason why he did pull the switch to Volcarona is just because he was trying to avoid risking the crit with Scizor, and we'll see later why this plan can work. So because I don't have enough sacks, but we'll see. So he goes into his Rotom right here. I'm gonna go into my Metagross this way, because I was expecting him to not go for the Volt Switch. I was expecting him to either Pump, Wisp, maybe even Pain Split, who knows. But I didn't want to go to my Lando and lose my Lando, because right now the way I'm trying to play to win is to go to Lando, set up rocks, so that way Scizor is in range of a high roll Surf, and it'll definitely die to a crit. I'll also keep Rotom low, and if I can potentially force it out like twice, I can get it in range of Surf, and then I can sweep through the rest of his team. So that's what I'm going for right here, and you'll see why that having that extra sack in Weavile will matter. But I go to my Lando right here because I'm expecting him to go to his own Lando. I could have gone to Keld, and I mean, Surf doesn't technically 2-hit KO 44% Rotom, because the Burn's only negating leftovers damage. It's not actually dealing any damage technically, so it's just negating lefties. But so I couldn't really go to Keld right there and try to grab a kill, because I wouldn't actually grab a kill, and also because I'd rather have the odds of a high roll Surf on the Scizor. Let me just show that calc. Let's just figure it out. Versus Scizor. Oh, you bulky. This is like not 200 Spit F. I calculated that was not possible. Keeps putting a rain in there for some reason. Let's put Surf, and yeah, Surf. Yeah, Surf 30. Wait, hold. Okay, this did have more Spit F than that, I guess, but yeah, there's a roll. I have a roll chance that I can Surf the Scizor and knock it out. And also, let's just show the calc versus Rotom Wash that's specially defensive. And we see right here that why is it in rain? Okay, there we go. Like, I can do like 16 to 20. So like this is where the Wisp damage on that Rotom matters, because it would have been at like maybe a little bit more than 20 right now instead of at 44, and it would be taking a rock, so it'd be in range of Surf. So that's really where it matters. And we'll see where the Weavile, having the extra Weavile sack matters too. But I go for rocks, set them up. I know I'm faster. He takes me out with HP Ice. I go to my Keld, I click Surf. He goes into his Rotom. I'm going to go into my Metagross expecting the Volt Switch, because he can't really afford to do anything else. Although, also the other benefit of having Metagross take that Hydro Pump is that he can't Pain Split on anything and gain his health back. So I do sack my Metagross right there, and I'm thinking, okay, now I have a chance to win with Keldeo. I think his Rotom, I may need to crit because it's still a little healthy, but there we see the Memento Dugtrio, and here we see why the Weavile sack also would have mattered. If I could go to my Weavile right here and get rid of this Memento, my Keldeo would possibly be able to win versus Rotom plus Scizor with the rocks up. The odds definitely favor him with regards to rolls. Like, he's more likely to live the Surf than to not, because I had missed those Wisps earlier, and his Scizor I think is a little bit... Honestly, I don't know whether it's more likely or not to kill the Scizor, but I need to get 2 of the rolls I needed versus Rotom and Scizor. But because of this Memento, I basically need to crit twice, and I don't get that crit, so I lose this game. And yeah, that's the game. So I think definitely I could have played this game a little more aggressive if I had Pump on my Keld and also Scald to actually threaten that Scizor a little bit more. Maybe this game would have been closer in reach, and Yeah, just the little things, saving the Weavile sack, expecting him to make the good play of roosting, not sacking my Amoonguss, doubling out with Metagross into Rotom instead of hammer arming and giving him the Mega plus a little extra health. All those little things could have made the difference between an endgame sweep with Keldeo and not sweeping with Keldeo. And that's really where it comes down to. You need to, it's really important to understand when you can play safe and when you really need to make an aggressive play to try to get ahead. And in this case, I made a mistake, and I also could have made slightly more aggressive plays that would have just put me in the upper hand, and even with those wisp misses, put me in a position where I could potentially win the game. But yeah, that's just how the game goes. You win some, you lose some, and I hope this was helpful, taught you something. And yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.